Car Chronicles, another one. A quick little hint episode in the car on my way driving home. I want to talk about something I've been seeing a whole lot. Everybody been talking about it, from the dating blogs to all of that. Is successful black men that grew up nerdy or that grew up in different situations end up dating outside their race. So I'm just gonna just say this. I am a prime example of of a black man that grew up in the hood that was considered as a lame, a nerd, and all of that. But uh, but but I did end up marrying a black woman. I didn't do like other black guys that married outside their race. I have talked to women outside my race when I was single, but never married outside my race. I am happily married to a black woman. But from experience with friends and all of that on why a lot of black men, you know, go outside their race. And I always say this, it's two things why a lot of black men go outside their race. It's always the first thing is trauma. And that's the first thing. And I'm gonna just talk about trauma real quick. Now, a lot of black men I knew that grew up in the hood, that went to public schools, that that was considered a nerd, a lame, a geek, and a weirdo. Like teenage black boys that loved watching Dragon Ball Z. Back in the day, if you was like a Dragon Ball Z lover in the late 90s, early 2000s, you was considered a nerd. Now in today's world, since rappers are name dropping Dragon Ball Z characters and admitting that they're nerds. Now it's cool being a nerd because the rappers are doing it. But back in the day when I was growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s, all the way through the mid 2000s, if you watched Dragon Ball Z and all types of anime, you was considered a geek, a weirdo, and a lame. And trauma is one of the things that causes black boys to turn away from the race they grew up around. Like prime example, I knew one guy, his mom mistreated him, and he had a horrible relationship with his mom. Mom called him ugly. His mom said he looked just like his ugly ass daddy and all of that, and it kind of traumatized him. So when he got older, he ended up marrying a white woman, and a lot of times, and think about it, the very woman he first laid eyes on when he was a newborn. The first woman he was supposed to love unconditionally was the woman that mistreated him, was his mother. And it caused a lot of trauma. And also, he wasn't the most attractive guy, so he went to school carrying that trauma from home, and then he had to deal with it at school with girls. And you got these little ugly ass girls that's calling him ugly, gay, saying you ugly, you ain't popular, you a nerd, you a geek. So over the course of years, that trauma builds up. And then when he gets older, he turns his back on the very thing that he was attracted to. So now he's attracted to something else. And then I think that particular person, he got older, he would graduate from college, uh, worked in the corporate America, also, start making some money. And then he turned around, married a white woman. And I asked this person, why, what made you go that way? He said trauma. He had a lot of trauma with black women growing up. So, and he's not the only one. There's a lot of black men that had trauma. It could be a bad relationship with their mother as a child, all the way to they was adult. Or there's some black guys that had great relationships with their mother, is they go to school and they get teased and they get bullied by females at the school, calling them ugly, gay, and a weirdo and all of that. And that can also bring trauma to a black boy. And and I can say this from from my experience. I went when I was in high school. There was a lot of girls that said I was a lame and I was a nerd and a geek. And then I remember one girl, she said I was retarded, but that's not true. But what's so funny? That same chick got three kids with three baby daddies, but that's another story. But yeah, that type of trauma it hurt me. But the good thing about me, I was able to heal as a person. When I became an adult, I was able to heal and forgive all those females that talked bad about me. Could I took the route and married outside my race? Yes, I could have. But I had enough sense to heal that kids can be mean, and now that I'm an adult, you know things change. Like I'd say, prime example, like I remember a girl in college. I remember her name was Ashley. She told me not in college. Let me take that back. It was in high school. Sorry, it was in high school. This girl said I was ugly. Her name was Ashley. Said I was ugly, and then maybe about 10 years later, she saw me somewhere out and about, and she was just trying to talk to me, get my number. I was just laughing it off, like, "Oh, okay, cool. I'll take your number down." And I really didn't call her. And I think this happened to me maybe about 10 different occasions with with different women that said I was ugly and they tried to talk to me as an adult. So so it so and what the funny thing about it, I was able to kind of move past that and laugh about it. But every every man that dealt with rejection, they always grow up, you know, getting to a point where they get on a revenge tour, a mad black angry man revenge tour, where you get in this, ultra red pill phase and all of that, and then, and you see the results of it. So trauma plays a big thing in why some black man tends to move that way. Another thing, why some black men grow up to date outside their race is circumstances, and it could be circumstances where, and I also have friends that was in this type of situation where circumstances and environment. That's what I'm gonna say. Where I had some black friends that grew up in suburban areas, that grew up in a